Get rid of that one.
Wait, you actually watched Dark? You actually watched Dark, Andre?
Yeah, man.
All 3 seasons?
No, only season 1.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to wait till. Did you like it?
No.
okay. You gotta save that for later. What's up, guys? You are not doing deja vu or seeing double today. We are back. The Heroes World Podcast Gang is back for a Sidekick Show special. So we wanted to talk Fast and Furious. Let me see. Hold on.
We're live.
Wow. Yeah, we're live. We're live now. So I've got Rob here with me as per usual.
What's up?
And we've enlisted Stu and Andre, our compadres from the Heroes World Podcast, to talk this craziness. Yeah, so we can kind of fit it in. And I think we're going to try and fit in Fast9 in the regular podcast. I'm not sure how we're going to watch it over here, but we're going to do something. Thank you, everyone.
There are ways.
Yeah,
we're gonna take a road trip down to Buffalo. Yeah. We're gonna watch it, and then we're gonna quarantine.
I thought we were going to pay your kids, Rob, to do an interpretation of the movie, and then that was how we're going to learn about it. So
we were going to do that before they changed the employment rules. I'm sorry.
We agreed it was going to be a bunch of Fortnite skins. That was what was going to happen. So
yeah,
your son was totally agreed. He's like, "How many Fortnite skins do I get? I'm in." So
yeah, make sure you say Fortnite skin and you don't leave out the night part of that sentence.
Mess up a bunch of words.
Fortnite.
All right.
Yeah. Lewis says fast in the Fortnite. So welcome everybody to the Sidekick Show. We are live on a Monday night. It is June 14th. So summer is here. So what up, guys? Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on here. We like to talk on the Sidekick Show. We talk a little bit about the news, and we talk a little bit about what's going down at the shop. And then it's getting out of hand in the chat already. And then we're going to talk about our main topic, which is Fast and the Furious. And we've got a bunch of segments for you. And Stu just pulled up a brand new one, which is going to be a lot of fun towards the end there. So look forward to that. So definitely stay locked into that dial. Let me hit you guys with what's coming new at the shop. So welcome everybody in the chat. Let's talk. I didn't pull everything. So the most important thing that's coming out is Fortnite number 5 is coming out. So if you guys are enjoying this Batman Fortnite 0 Point, the number 5 issue is coming out this Wednesday. We should have it hopefully on time, depending on couriers and shipment and that kind of stuff. And if you're not familiar with this book, this is the big crossover with Batman and the whole DC universe going into Fortnite universe, as well as other characters showing up like Snake Eyes and all kinds of cool things. I'm a little worried about that premium cover over there, which features our boy Fish Sticks in a death of the family style pose. So I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned about that guy, but that's a lot of fun. And every issue comes with a code for a Fortnite item. And then if you get them all, you'll be able to get a cool Batman armored skin, I believe. So we have these at the shop, and we did get the 3rd printing of number 1, so you can come grab that. And another book that me and Rob have mentioned oftentimes on the Sidekick Show, Batman Earth 1 Volume 3 is finally hitting this week. I don't know if it came out last week in the USA, but we're getting it in Canada this week. So a really fun book, takes place in an alternate universe. It's an alternate reality, right, Andre? It's Earth 1. It's
a different. It's the Earth 1 instead of whatever DC's actual Earth is. So it's a different timeline and kind of like a easy to follow version of the superheroes without all the baggage of continuity.
Yeah, but so really fun. Like written by Jeff Johns and drawn by Gary Frank. Like the first 2 volumes are just like, it's like heroin. You just want to you mainline it into my arm because you want more and more. It's so good.
I feel like they should call it the universe 199999999. Just go one more.
They should definitely assign it some arbitrary number.
Can you assign it? Not arbitrary. Like when Xbox went 360, it's like, yeah, you know what? PlayStation 3, we're going 360. We're going even higher. Sorry.
Yeah, so that'll be in. Definitely get that. It's a lot of fun. Volume 1 and 2 will probably have restocked very soon as well if you haven't caught up on that. So that's just what I want to highlight. There's a bunch of other stuff coming out, but you'll see that. We posted it on our Facebook and Instagram, the list of all the new comics and releases coming out this week. And then we also have the new Pokemons coming out this weekend, the new Magic, and I think there's a bunch of other things coming out. So look forward to seeing those posted as well. So that's it for just new stuff. So I'll kick it to Rob for the news.
Yeah. So, first of all, I got a little bit of sad news, guys, out of Hollywood. So, Oscar-nominated Ned Beatty has died over the weekend at age 83. Now, he was in numerous movies, but you will probably recognize him and remember him the most as Otis, Lex Luthor's bumbling sidekick in the original Superman movie. And if that's not ringing a bell, then for sure you would remember him from Albert Pujols' 1990 cinematic
No one's going to remember that.
Captain America.
Yes.
It is, buddy.
Sealed? Is that still sealed?
No, of course not.
Oh, okay.
But it was rewound, so we're good. But yeah, Ned Beatty was he was in Deliverance and a bunch of other movies, but because of his lore in the Superman universe, I thought it worth mentioning. So 83 years old. Rest in peace to him. Moving on to happier news. Aquaman. Anyways, the guy with Aquaman, Aquavelva. The man with
Aquafina, I believe it's correct. It's Aquafina.
Right.
I would watch an Aquafina as
Aquafina as Aqua Woman. I'm totally down.
Fishman has they start filming their sequel to their first movie with Jason Momoa, and it's got a title. John, do you know what the title is?
I don't know. I'm thinking about Aquafina now. So is it Lost at Sea or something like that? Something
Close.
Like that?
It's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which
okay, Lost Kingdom sounds cooler.
Well, yeah, but it's Atlantis. We know it's lost. Like to me, it just seems like a very weird title. I mean, unless there's another Lost Kingdom.
They could have done Finding Mara because they got to find a new Mara, right? So,
what if it was Aquaman 2: Bumblebee Tuna?
No. What was that Disney movie called? Atlantis, the Lost something? Or was it called The Lost City of Atlantis? That one with Michael J. Fox?
Atlantis, the one that was done by Mignola.
Yeah, I don't remember it. It had Michael J. Fox in it, though. It was awesome.
Honestly, the default answer is Aquaman 2, Electric Boogaloo. Just continue on. Like, why do we even...
Aquaman 2, The Return of Vinny Chase is really what it should be.
Why do we not do... Oh, my goodness. I'm in. Get James Cameron. I'm in, baby. Right. Let's do it.
Shout outs to Entourage if you guys don't understand that reference.
Yes, you have no idea what's happening.
That trailer was dope with many more. Let's not forget.
There you go. Speaking of sequels, John Wick 4 starts filming pretty soon. And guess who's coming back, Johnny? The king of the Bowery himself, Lawrence Fishburne, or as his friends like to call him, Larry. Fishburne, but he will be back as the Bowery King in John Wick 4. He said in an interview that he's going to have a much bigger role in this movie, so we'll see what that means. I mean, he said he's heading out. I think it's Bucharest or Budapest or Belgium. I don't know, one of the B places. It could be Boston,
Burlington.
I don't know.
We know.
That's right. But he starts filming in the next the next month. So he's out there, and that's pretty cool. One thing I really wanted
Scott, for quickly one thing, talking about Boban, I believe the new one's gonna have Bol as a new basketball player to fight John Wick. So
could you imagine?
Why not have a 7'9" guy fight him? Let's keep on going. So random new killers.
Now, as you know, the Flash movie has been filming in London, England. Last week we talked about the picture that director Andy Muscati sent with the Batman symbol, the crest of the Michael Keaton 1992 Batman. And yeah, it's right, from last week. And this week he topped it off with a tease of Flash's costume. I think John's got the photo that we can put up there. Now it's kind of hard to see, but there's actually there's interesting like lines that you can tell that are coming out of the lightning bolt, which obviously will be like LED lights or whatever. It's supposed to represent lightning. It looks kind of, at first I was like, it looks like Robert Downey Jr.'s chest plate, like in the middle. Yes, a question from Stu.
I'm ready.
I'm not a car aficionado or a person that knows how to do.
So you're on the right show tonight.
But don't you, for like wind purposes, need a smooth surface, or more like, wouldn't you need aerodynamics and things to make it like
that could be glazed over in
like when you
underside.
Have a costume with that many ripples when he's running? Wouldn't that kind of make it that he's not?
They're gonna have a scene, Stu, where they show that it's clear and someone is waxing him down to make sure he's super slick, because he's gonna be ceramic coated. Actually, he's gonna be ceramic coated.
I do know there was a Flash that had velvet all on his costume that looked very slick. That looked like he was really running fast. That that was just like a fast material. But anytime you add
John
Flash,
Wesley
we all
Shipp,
love that.
1980.
We all love that costume back
The
in
1991 John Wesley Shipp. Yes, he velour
I love it.
costume.
You just couldn't get it wet, but you just couldn't get water on it. But this looks
Right.
like
Almost like a
very
gremlin.
mechanical and just, man, it doesn't even look like a car hood I would want because it's like
But in all fairness, it's way better, as far as I'm concerned, than what we had with Zack Snyder's version in Justice League. Like this,
You're
to
only
me,
seeing such a small thing though. Like
Yeah, but-
it would not even be.
But if it was just,
but at least though you're seeing
Maybe it is a car. Maybe it is a Flash car.
with Flash
Which
car.
would be the dumbest thing for Flash to have.
It's
is I need
actually
a
his
car to get
wallet.
places faster.
It's his wallet. No, but at least the symbol is much more representative of the comic origins than we got with the Snyder one, because that
It
was
looks
not.
cool. It does look cool. Yeah, it does raise questions.
Listen,
but it
I'm
looks
down
cool.
for it. They've only been filming for like the past month and a bit. So I'm sure we're going to see, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a teaser coming out of DC Fandom in October. I believe that drops. So I'm sure we'll see some more information on the DC Fandom front. But that's pretty cool. Also, and I'm not going to spoil it, but if there was some rumors, I guess a spoiler was out this afternoon about a special cameo that we in the Flash movie. I'm not going to talk about it. If you don't want to know anything, avoid Twitter or any other of your favorite comic book websites for the next day or so, because it kind of broke out about 3:00 this afternoon. So just be forewarned, but there is another character who will be making an appearance in the Flash movie, so I'm only going to go with that. And last I saw, it was Lewis's 40th birthday. I think I saw him say,
Happy birthday, Lewis.
Happy birthday!
happy
Lewis.
birthday.
and he said, I wish I could find what he had put in. He's like, it's my 40th. Please give me a really good Sidekick Show. Well, I can't find the comment, but I will say this. Lewis, your wish is my command. So earlier this afternoon, there was a story that broke about Harley Quinn season 3. I guess now, Stu, you're a big fan of this animated Harley Quinn television show, correct? So the producers were talking about how they're able to push the envelope on a lot of things, but DC came back and said there was one thing that they had to cut from the scene. Do either of you, any 4 of you or 3 of you, know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
No, you got that picture there.
They had to cut from the animated show.
Yes, they weren't allowed. They did not get the green light to continue with this. Essentially, they said you can have Batman and Catwoman doing a whole bunch of things, but what you can't have is you can't have Batman saying hello to Catwoman's kitty cat. So I think that there was a scene where Batman was going downtown, and DC said, we're cool with you pushing the boundaries, but apparently heroes don't do that. They are allowed to have coital interaction, but they're not allowed to be of the oral variety. Heroes don't go down. So DC, they put their foot down, and that was that. So Lewis, I hope this information is fun for you, and happy 40th birthday, man.
I think you're gonna have to try again. I think we're gonna have to try again and do something else. Lewis, I don't think that's gonna cut it.
So that's all I got for news. Look at
That's
you. You
it.
guys are all uncomfortable. Look at you all. Steve shaking his head, and John's got this nervous laugh, and Andre's like, I can't believe we're still talking about this.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just trying to figure out what that DC thing is that you're talking about, the news breaking. So I'll have to check that out again. I wasn't paying attention to who that special
About
is.
the Flash, you mean? Oh, yeah. It's only if you really want to know. If you were really to think about things, it would come to you pretty quickly. But at any rate, I guess not, Chris. I guess they're not.
Okay,
so anyways, that's news.
On that bombshell, Rob. I think that wraps up the news.
I'm just doing lip service here, John. I don't know.
Hey now. All right. So let's talk a little bit about before we kick it off. You can label us now.
Did you say labia? Is that what you just said?
No, I said label us.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, just hitting buttons and dropping labels down. But you can hear what you want to hear, Rob. But it's not going to change the fact of what was actually said.
All right. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So in other news, the Heroes World podcast we did on Sunday, we talked about Loki episode 1.
It's nighttime, guys. Get used to it.
Yeah. Loki episode 1 and a bunch of other things. We did a writer's swap due to the recent news of Donny Cates and Al Ewing switching books in the Marvel, so switcheroo. So look forward to the new Hulk book and the new Venom books coming out from them. It looks pretty cool. And then I think we did. What else did we do in the podcast, Rob? Was there one last topic?
Well, we had Andre has spoken. Yeah, we did the Loki, we did the swap, and that was it.
We did recommendations for the young.
Yeah, we did.
That's right. Grandparents, for young kids. That's right. I should have known because my recommendation was Fortnite, and we just talked about the Fortnite Batman book.
Yeah. So a lot of good stuff in the podcast, so definitely check that out. And then I think, without further ado, we're going to start kicking it to some Fast and the Furious action. So I think,
speaking of Batman and Catwoman, go on.
Yeah. Hey, stop with the Batman Catwoman thing. No one cares about your Batman Catwoman story. We're moving on. I'm
just glad it's not my job to wrangle this. You guys do.
Yeah. No, it already gets messy in here, Stu. Don't worry. All right. Okay, so we're jumping into Fast and the Furious. Thanks, guys, for joining me again. Thanks, everybody in the comments. It's starting to get crazy over there. So if you guys can chill out for a second, that would be very helpful. So Fast and the Furious, back in 2001, we're taking you back to that era. The era of, what was the top grossing movie of that year? Harry Potter and the Sorcerer Stone? Is it called the Sorcerer's Stone or Sorcerer's Supreme?
No, Harry Potter, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. That was at the top of the box office that time. Fast and the Furious was at 13. A couple other gems during that time. Rush Hour 2 was around that time. Shrek, Monsters Inc., Training Day, one of my all-time favorites. Planet of the Apes, Pearl Harbor, so a bunch of stuff. So that's the era we're in. So let's talk Fast and the Furious. So I've got a little bit of lead up to it. So Fast and the Furious was originally based off an article published in Vibe magazine by Ken Lee called Racer X, where he detailed the underground happenings of street racing kind of nighttime shenanigans. And I guess the producers saw it and decided to produce this movie. It had a budget of $38 million and it grossed in $207.3 million. So a definite blockbuster at that time. Movies of today's standards have definitely gone higher than that. But for 2001, that was pretty up there. And a tight runtime of 106 minutes. So pretty good. And it originally released June 22nd back in 2001. So we're actually right around, we're very close to the anniversary
20
of the
years.
movie.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy that we happen to just stumble upon it. I don't know if they originally planned this release date for Fast 9 to be pushed back this far and end up doing this on the 20th anniversary, but that's pretty interesting. So I think we want to kick it to general thoughts. So we've all rewatched it. Hopefully everyone in the comments has rewatched it. So let's kick it to Rob first with your general thoughts on the rewatch, how you felt about the movie. Does it still stand up? Do you still recommend it in 2021? We'll take it away, Rob, and then we'll go around.
I'm transfixed with Stu, just waiting for a train wreck. I would this is probably the one Fast and Furious movie I've seen the most, but not out of because I don't like the other ones. It's just I watched this a lot after it came out. When it came and it dropped on DVD, I was watching it a lot. I was really enjoying this movie back in the day. So it's been a fair amount of time. I would say a couple years. I think I did a rewatch of all of them leading up to Fast 8. So I rewatched it again. I actually watched it with my son, who was literally adamant he did not want to watch it. And I said he had done something. I said, as a punishment, you have to watch this movie. And then he was fighting with me. Excuse me. So I said, okay, give me 20 minutes. And after that, he was completely hooked. So does it hold up for him? He kind of enjoyed it. But looking at it from the lens of, having 20 years.
This movie would have came out before he was born, just to put it in the context.
He's 12.
I'm just saying, if you put it in context, if you go and think of a movie that came out before you were born,
sure.
You generally are not interested.
Yeah, but he quite enjoyed it. So for that aspect, it definitely holds up. I don't think though, it's not a well-shot movie, right? The pacing is really bananas. There's a lot of dead time in these scenes. It doesn't move as fast as we're accustomed to, which is oxymoronic. I'm surprised at some of the choices that were made. The color palette in a lot of it is off. I mean, the scene in the diner when Brian first meets Mia is very orange, and even my son was like, "Why is it all orange hue?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's just the color saturation that."
I remember that back in the day really sticking out. I was like, "What the hell happened to the camera?"
I thought that the music, John and we talked about this just before we jumped on air. The music doesn't hold up. Like to a point where I was actually going to message you and say, I'm watching it, I'm streaming it through Crave. Did they not have the rights to the songs and they put in these like, these
Nope,
knockoff? But apparently they are. It's the technical, like it just doesn't hold up. It overall doesn't hold. And it's very difficult to look at this movie and know where we are 9 films later to be like, how did they, like, kudos to whoever figured out that they could make this massive franchise based on this one movie and have it evolve into what we get now, because it's almost impossible to see the DNA of that really enriched in this movie aside from a standard heist, which, when you look at this, the heist in and of itself is like you only get to see it twice before they have the failure on near the end of the movie, right? And it's not like you don't get that. Like it's very quick and fast, and it's over. You're like, oh, okay. So all that to say, it's a fun movie to watch. It's probably the easy. I'm gonna be watching all of them again with my son, but I think it's the easiest for him to kind of get into because it does lay a groundwork of some of these characters. But there's a lot. It's funny. There's a lot of. I had to have a conversation about some of the language that is used or the derogatory terms, which it's having to have those discussions 20 years later. Like I never thought of it back then, right? So, at any rate, I enjoyed it, but it definitely for me does not hold up as my memory of the movie did when I used to watch it, back in my early or mid 20s. So.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So I've probably seen the movie at least once a year, so that means at least 20 times, maybe more than that. But I'll kick it to Stu because I'm actually Stu is actually kind of mystery. I'm not actually sure how he feels about this first movie. I know 5 and a couple of the other ones. He definitely.
You guys all go. I'll go at the end. Don't worry.
No. I feel like you should go now, Stu.
No, it's fine. No. It'll be a mystery.
Okay. Let's
enigma.
Let's kick it to Andre, who's a big fan of what's going down now with Fast and the Furious, but I'm not quite sure if he was down with the first maybe 3 or even 4, which I guess we'll talk about later on how they all line up. So Andre, what are your thoughts on the rewatch of Fast and the Furious 1?
So I really, really like the series. I own it probably 3 different ways. Got it on Blu-ray, got it on Blu-ray Steelbook, and I got it on HD DVD until they didn't come out. The only one I don't own is number 3, is Tokyo Drift. I gotta say, rewatching this first one, the first one is probably the one I watched the least out of all of them. I really started enjoying the series more at number 4. But I gotta say, rewatching this first one, while you can see technically there's some shortcomings, I disagree with Rob. I think the DNA is all there. Like looking back, looking at where they are and looking where they started, you see a lot of this. Like this movie, for no big actors, no big budget, no expectation, they actually had moments of character in there that modern movies don't even have. And these are like they're just like jobbers. Like look at the autistic guy. They have a whole thing saying, I dropped out of school, but I love motors, and motors make me, it calms me down. I'm like, whoa. You got no right being that good. You know what I mean? Like talking about that stuff, building up. I thought this movie, like whoever created these characters, I think they created the characters and they had an idea. And I think they were just hoping that it would become bigger than it was. Now, I'm sure they didn't expect it to become the blockbuster pulling in all of these Hollywood people, but that is just like, again, without having the foundation of the first and second movie, you're not going to get to 4 and then 5 and where we are today. So I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching it. It's gotten a little bit more respect from me because, like Rob said, you think the movie is just about the heist and about the car, but the heist really has nothing to do with it. Right? It's really about them building each other up and talking about what their main thing is family. And they had those roots right at the beginning. Even the whole thing with Dom, they're like, oh, this guy's a murderer. This guy beat a guy within an inch of his life. Yeah, but we don't remember that the guy he beat up, did a cheap thing, and his father died because of it. How angry would you be, right? So I think, again, all of this stuff like was built into these characters. Sure, it's fun to look at them and say, oh my god, look how young they look, and how like they're green.
Man, yeah,
they're all green.
Yeah,
like,
they're very young.
Like whoever cast them and said, yo, you have to act this way. They're acting so stereotypical, like Michelle Rodriguez when she's walking like this.
Yeah.
It's like wow, like
smell
you look
skanks.
where they come. Yeah, you just look where they got, and it was like anyways, I think it was great. It was definitely a good rewatch for me.
Yeah. Okay. So Andre appreciates it more upon the rewatch, going back into this time machine back to 2001, right before Stu kicks it off and probably rips on it. I'll say I can't really say anything because I'm so biased and so nostalgic for this movie. It can do no wrong. I will say I did notice the graininess in some of the film. I don't know if maybe the nighttime shots, maybe the cameras they had were not as good. You could definitely see it, and the weird filter for that sandwich shop that Dom owns that sells week old tuna fish or whatever. Maybe that's the filter. Maybe the filter was a bunch of tuna fish rubbed onto the lens or something. You can definitely see that, but they look so young. But I don't know, everything about this movie, I just love it. It takes me right back. And before this, I'll just mention it quickly that the cars, I don't think were really filmed in this kind of music video style. Like when they're pulling in, they've got low angle shots and all this kind of stuff. So the cars, being a car guy, movies weren't really kind of like this. So even if you watch, I don't remember what year Gone in 60 Seconds came out, but I think it was before this. I think Gone in 60 Seconds doesn't quite have that same oomph that this has for me. And I could go on and on about all the cars and all that kind of stuff, but I think it'll come up during the discussion. So let me hear from Stu, who is a much more esteemed film critic, and I think can take away his nostalgia, or if he had any nostalgia for this particular film, because I'm pretty sure he was hanging around the Tim Hortons when I was, and probably saw some of this action going down.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a movie of its time. It is something when you have to imagine it was the year 2000. Things were different back then.
In the year 2000.
and there's people that know La Bamba, and there are people who don't know La Bamba. So that is the situation in the year 2000. When this movie was made, it was 2000. It came out 2001. So Andre's talked before about period pieces. This is a period piece. When you watch it, when you see the heist, and it's a VCR/TV combo of electronics they're stealing.
Did you see Paul Walker's phone? I think it was an old like StarTAC or a mic, the one with that two-way radio that me and Andre had back in the day.
Yeah, it is like, oh man, really rough. It's like that. I kind of push aside, going, as Andre said before, you just gotta let that slide, because that's the period piece. Like when you watch old movies from the 40s and 50s and they don't have cell phones, you just let it ride. So that alone, I rewatched it with try to open mind. It's not a great movie. It's very put together poorly in a lot of sense, where the characters are there. Andre's right. Like the crux of the characters are there, but now they're like caricatures of themselves. It's like the couple one-liners they had. Now it's like when you do a caricature on the street, it's like, this is Andre, but the guy that draws has a big head, and they just emphasize like, do you like cars, Andre? Yeah, and they just put you in a giant head in a giant car, and then here's your picture, and then there it is, and you're like, oh, this is truly a caricature of me. And that's what's going on with all the characters. Like Dominic Toretto is like the tough guy. We're gonna make him now tough times 12 from a D&D. Like we're just gonna make him tougher as the movies go along, and every character just gets pushed to a level where they're completely different and devolved.
Well, it's absurdity.
Yeah, it's. But the thing is, like,
Well, he was already kind of absurd. He was hanging out the window of the Civic going, come here, I'm going to catch you. I'm like, if that guy jumps into your arms, he's street pizza.
Yeah, like,
but, whatever.
I think we all agree. These movies are fun. We're watching them because the suspension of disbelief. We're not there to watch Citizen Kane or to watch Deliverance or to watch like an Oscar caliber movie. These are for fun, and these are RIP. These are things that we get to just sit back and laugh and watch. And eat popcorn and just watch all these movies and just go and laugh at the absurdity that is the Fast and the Furious. If this was truly something that was deep and had different plot lines, like again, everything here is razor thin. Everything storyline,
but I think it does come off better than it could have been. When if we're going to talk about, when we start talking about Fast and Furious 2, that's a movie you can definitely tell if Fast and Furious 1 was anything like Fast and Furious 2, we probably would not have had this whole string of things happening. So number one does achieve some kind of like working with what they were given, kind of.
Well, we also have to recognize, and Stu said it's a product of its time. It's also that car culture doesn't exist anymore like it did in the late 90s to the mid 2000s. You don't see people souping up their cars with the undermount lights anymore. Like you don't. It was very reflective. It was like art imitating life. It was very reflective of a time period that doesn't exist anymore. So I completely, Stu's right on when he says it's a product of its time. What I say though when it says it doesn't have the DNA, Andre, I just meant that, and Stu just said it, it's the caricatures. Like, yes, it's got the cars and the heist, but all of a sudden Dom and the rest of the family are these master thieves, right? Who are able to drive out of buildings in Dubai in Fast 7 or Fast 8. So that's what I meant by that.
You're missing like what
But I'm not shitting on the movie. I enjoyed it. I'm just saying it's very hard to like.
But the movie, like what they're doing now in the current stuff is they're raising the bar because they have more money and they have to one up themselves. Like John said, you're watching this movie, the opening scene. They've got these 4 Honda Civics or whatever they were, and they go underneath the trailer and pull.
Yeah, but so did Clark Griswold did that in Christmas Vacation. Come on.
Yeah, not the same.
So let me finish off my point about the movies too. Is that when it's like and Marab mentioned it too, it's a product of also the producers, the directors, and what was popular at the time period. The pacing of the film, like I don't blame that because again. That's what a movie in 2000 would have been in 2001. You look at Race Wars. You look at, the story of the family. Like these are things that they try to intertwine. And I give them credit for trying to do a heist storyline, a race war. And then on top of that, like this whole concept of a familia, family and all that stuff, which is, again, a lot of things they're tying together in a movie like this where you would, you look at the comparable movies back then to this, it didn't have that level of mix of that, right? You look at the greatest, heist movies of all, and you look at there's a certain movie with Keanu Reeves and R.I.P. And Patrick Swayze, and there's a brotherhood in that, but it's not the same brotherhood and family that this is putting in, and you would say that is similar but also different at the same time.
Well, we had rewatched Point Break just a couple weeks ago, and it is very funny as I'm watching this. You can see this is just like it's a carbon copy of Point Break, right? I mean, it's right down to the I'm a cop, Mia. I'm a police. Right, goes right down to Keanu Reeves, right? So
just missing the part where he lets him go and lying on the ground. I was waiting for him to shoot the gun up in the air, going, ah! So like again, we love these movies, Andre. They're fun. You turn off your brain, but by no means is this a movie that I'm going to sit back and be like, I wonder what the long-term ramifications are. Let's think about what this means.
At that time, I don't think we could have ever seen what has happened, and I think we can maybe get into that later. But I'm with Andre. I love this movie. I can't not watch it. I can't really critique it other than jokingly.
Think about the thefts they're doing, John, in that movie. Like the amount of hand-to-hand combat, the gun shooting, and the thefts. Like again, they barely beat like John.
No. Like Andre said, that whole theft element is a side piece, right? Like even when I was watching the movie, when you get to that part at the end where they're kind of pulling Vince off the truck and stuff, it's such a late in the movie. It's only like maybe the last 15 minutes or something like that. So it's all about the lead up and the car culture. And a bunch of the guys did mention in the comments, yes, car modding is still going on now, but to the extent it was back then, it's not there. We used to go, like Stu lives in my area too. We used to go to the Tim Hortons out on
Silver
16th
City.
in Woodbine, in Silver City, and there used to be a car meet every friggin' Friday. And just all these cars would be just lined up. People would be chilling, and then they'd take off to the wherever they were going to do their thing. Mostly they were just, everyone was just showing off, and then they'd probably just go home or go back wherever they were going to go. But yeah, it was a crazy time, and even speaking to people who own rim stores and that kind of stuff, that the market is definitely not quite the same as it was at that time. But
I can concur.
It's an interesting,
I can concur that I have indeed seen John on an occasion on a Friday night at Tim Hortons back in the day, just wandering, walking when me and Chad would show up there, and then all of a sudden they'd be John and sometimes a magical.
You would just drive up. You could be driving whatever car you want. You just drive up and you just walk around. It was a crazy time. So
John and the magical appearance by Hugo. So this is how far it goes back. Shout outs to Chad and Hugo.
Yeah, old times. Yeah, takes me back. That's why this movie, I can't really say anything negative about it, because it's just brings back so much for me. So so with our overall thoughts so I think we do all say it is worth watching, despite its a documented
history. A documented. This is like
basically Stu is saying it's a product of its time. So leave it there. Andre is saying he actually appreciates it more now on the rewatch, and Rob was saying it was a fun time for an action movie of that era. And I say I almost want to say it's a masterpiece, but let's not get into that. so let's jump into obviously the two main characters of the movie, Dominic Toretto, played by Vin Diesel, and Brian Earl Spillner or whatever, Brian O'Connor, played by the late great Paul Walker, of course. Those are definitely the two best characters in there. So I don't even know if I need to ask if you're a Brian or a Dom guy. Actually, let's start with, are you a Brian or a Dom guy, and maybe your favorite non-main cast member? So let's go with Rob first. Are you Toretto or are you O'Connor?
I'm an O'Connor, and I think the way that this foursome's looking, I think Andre would be Dom. And
I think guesses on the other
you
two.
Say. This is me, trying to get on set. I was thinking, oh, come on, you could use another one. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
There you go, John.
All right, who's your favorite supporting cast member, Rob?
Oh, I'm going to go with Michelle Rodriguez as Letty.
Okay, yeah.
I was never nothing against Jordana Brewster. She's just not. I was all for Michelle Rodriguez for sure. Yeah.
All right, Stu, did you have are you Dom or O'Connor guy?
O'Connor all the way. I think he has the heart that I care about, and he has some. I think he has just a little bit more humility, because he loses. Dom's never lost anything, so he doesn't know how to lose. And Brian's lost all the time. Like, he loses everything.
He gets beat up.
Beat up. Like, he just continues, as the great song Chumbawamba says. He gets knocked down, he gets up again. These are things that happen. He gets knocked down and gets up again. This is the story of Brian O'Connor. So I back Chumbawamba, and I back former police officer / FBI. Do we know what
he was? FBI, I think.
He was FBI.
No, he was police. He was local
FBI
police,
and then police. Yeah.
But no, in this movie, he was strictly police. He wasn't former FBI. He was strictly police.
Later on, he was former FBI.
Sure.
Fast Furious 2, I think he was FBI. He was upgraded to FBI with.
That generally happens, right? No.
He's a felon. He's still a felon in 2. He doesn't get his FBI status until 4.
Until 4.
Until 4, and
all right.
And that's where he's like running through buildings and stuff like that. Andre, everyone in the comments is saying you're basically the bang on for a race bended Vin Diesel. So are you team Vin Diesel or team
Vinny, man? Like, come on, that was. I think this movie, like we know, it put him on the map, and if he's playing a caricature of himself, man, he'd be a cool dude. He'd be a cool ass dude. So
yeah. Sorry, Stu, I forgot to get your favorite non-main cast member.
I gotta give a shout out to the guy that speaks nothing, who sees all, and was never seen again in Fast and Furious. Shout out to Leon, who was there for one Fast and Furious film and never seen again. He was there.
I thought so too. He's in Fast 7. I just did a search of his IMDb.
Is he in Fast 7?
Yeah, apparently he shows up in Fast.
I don't think he's come back.
What?
You'd have to
I don't
double
think
check
he's got
that.
a speaking
Maybe a
part.
flashback. I think it's a
Yeah.
flashback or something. I don't think he's
ma-
actually officially rejoined the cast.
It's,
I think
it
he's done
shows
an interview
flashbacks in Fast and Furious 6,
Yeah.
Fast 5. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to
But
fact
he's
check
not-
that.
not in a movie
Andre, do you have a
anymore.
favorite side character?
From this movie, I would probably say the autistic guy. I can't even remember his name, but
Yeah, Jesse.
Jesse.
Yeah, like again, I thought his thing was cool, man. Heartbreaking when he just gets gunned down because he comes back and he's like, "Oh, I screwed up, Dom, help me." And yeah, but look, you're talking about. There's 2 scenes where those Yakuza guys just bust out machine guns, so it's not a far stretch from where they got. You know,
Yeah, but they were like
where they started, right? Like
they barely could hit the side of a barn, Andre, and they were lucky they got it.
yeah, whatever. But they were still lots of gunplay, so you know.
Yeah, it was ADD he mentioned,
Yeah.
but which who knows, like a learning disability.
Deficit disorder.
Yeah, cool. I give a shout out to Vince, who kind of basically knew Brian was the cop from the beginning and was completely right, and the whole family gets torn apart because nobody listens to him. So
R.I.P. to Vince, who
But
died.
how smart
Yeah.
was Vince? Like he hated the guy, and then O'Connor comes and saves him, and then calls the ambulance. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's dead if O'Connor doesn't do that, he's dead. So
Well,
either way, he was wrong. Stu's right. O'Connor got the heart of gold, right?
But Andre, it's like the other terrible horror movie, the one where they missed death and they came back. What's the movie I'm looking for?
Flatliners.
No, the one with the Stifler was in it. The movie where they missed an airplane that crashed and then they died anyways.
Oh,
Final Destination.
Final Destination, because in Fast 5 he dies anyways, right? So he just lived a little bit longer and then he died anyways. So Vince didn't survive that much longer.
he might come back. All right, let's I don't know.
He's gone.
Let's kick it to your favorite scene. Do you want to go again, Rob, or do you want to flip it and go reverse?
My favorite scene. I don't know if Race Wars.
Race Wars?
Because the scene of Letty racing that dummy, and she looked, anyways, before I get divorced, I'm just gonna say that was great. Yeah.
Yes, Stu, do you have a
scene.
scene? Do you have a scene that you actually quite like, or would we rewatch on the repeat, or enjoy watching it unfold?
Honestly, I think it was the first scene when you kind of unveiled to that culture, when you first saw the scenes of all the cars lined up and then all the people lined up and just the build up to the first street race. That's the iconic, like.
Yeah, you see a transition into nighttime. They show the city during the day,
like
and it transitions into night, and all the cars show up. Yeah.
And then because even in the other films, what they'll do is they'll just show that shot, and they're like, yeah, that's all you need. Like, we're just show a bunch of line of cars, with people hanging out and just listen to music, and then again the LED lights underneath, and then boom, fade to black. Like even the other one was a Fast 7. Like, we need fast cars, and they just show up. And then they just not even show the race, and they just show up with brand new cars. Like, that is the perfect amount.
Skip that step.
Like, we know they're gonna win the race, but I really like that type of like quick transition. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah. All right, Andre, all-time favorite scene from this first movie?
Oh man, there's so many cool ones after watching it. I will say, toss up. I really like the end scene where O'Connor gets to save Vince. Like, I thought that was pretty cool. But I did also like when at Race War, when the guy calls Dom a narc. He's like, "Oh, you narked me out," and then he just gets vexed and he just jumps on him. And then like 3 times, people have to try and pull him back, and then Letty just clocks the guy running in. So
she hits him with a nice punch. I guess she had come off of
a
girl fight movie.
A surprise right hook,
so
that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. My favorite scene that I've watched like a bazillion times is right after they raid Johnny Tran's house. The Dom and Brian go for a spin in the Supra, which is the ultimate definition of why people modify their cars. He pulls up to the guy in the Ferrari. He asks how much the Ferrari, what's the retail on that? And the guy revs the engine. He's like, more than you can afford, pal. And I think that's the director of the movie or something like that.
No, it wasn't. Director of the movie was the guy who drove was the pizza guy.
Oh, he's a pizza guy.
That's Rob Cohen. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he's a somebody as well too. So more than you can afford, pal, is about $200K at that time. And the Supra would have been 40K new. So that's the whole reason why there's this appeal in, souping up your car, as the whole expression is built, not bought. So that scene, what obviously we don't condone any type of street racing or any type of speeding. There's no need. This is a movie, they do that in the movies. Let them do that in the movies. But the fact that he's just swerving through in and out, and you get to see. So this is the character stuff that Andre was talking about. You get to see how cool Brian is under pressure. He just weaves in and out, and Vin Diesel's like, what the hell's going on? Like you get to see that character, how calm and cool he is. And then just as a side note, that Ferrari you would probably be able to get now for 75K. The Toyota Supra, without any mods, you would probably have to spend at least 120K on right now. So it's a little more than you can afford, pal. Now flips. So I just thought that was kind of funny. So let's jump. I'm going to bring up a tier list, and we're going to rank all the cars in their 0 to 60 times. And in fact, no, I'm just joking. I want to
know. Okay. Let me swallow my own head.
All of them one.
Yeah.
I just want to. I just want to ask what your favorite car of this movie is. Being a car guy, just indulge me a little bit for a second. What was your favorite car of this entire movie? Everyone in the comments, you can definitely drop which was your favorite car. My brother mentions the dude I almost had you scene, which was hilarious. The whole speech, the whole you don't win by an inch or a mile and that kind of stuff, and all those guys with the respect. So definitely drop your favorite car. Scott's already in there with the Charger. I'm pretty sure. Rob, what was your favorite car of the movie? And do you know if your son had a favorite car of this first movie?
No, I didn't ask him. We're not car people. Yeah. But I would say my favorite car would have been the Charger, the Dom's Charger at the end. It was just very cool looking. Like if I was to pick a car for myself, I'd go with those more classic muscle cars than I would with these souped up cars. So I would go with that. I know you were originally going to say the VW, but unfortunately, I think Frankie Muniz bought that.
I think he did buy that. He did buy that Jetta.
Yeah, the Jetta. That's right. Yeah. So there you go. So I'd say the Charger for sure.
Stu, if I'm not mistaken, I think you did have a standard transmission Honda back in the day.
I did.
Which is was it a Vigor?
A 92 Acura Vigor, yes.
Which is actually a rare car right now. So I don't know how much it is worth on the market, but I thought that was just a funny little.
I'm sad to say that I've looked recently because I miss that car. I miss driving stick. But that thing started falling apart at me near the end, so I had to get rid of it. So unfortunately, I got a new one. But man, if I could have had the garage space, I would have kept that. And yeah, that's the way I looked a little. I think like a few months ago, it was still.
That in the standard transmission is kind of rare. So sorry, indulge my car nerdness. Stu, do you have a favorite car from this first movie?
I had like the two cars I love the most. Was that green 1999 Mitsubishi equipped Eclipse GST, that one that Paul Walker was driving in the beginning, because it's just so stupid and ridiculous. Lime green.
Yeah, it's freaking green.
It's like it's just ugly, and I'm looking at the picture of it. I'm like, ugh, like that is just thing. But the car that I loved the most was driven by Johnny Tram, as well as I think the girl from Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious. Yeah. And that was the Honda S2 2000S.
2000, yeah.
Oh, it's just a beautiful looking car, and I'm just looking at it like that's the one.
Yeah. And he had to have the black. It was all black. It was black on black because he's the bad guy, right? So the bad guy has to drive the car.
The black on black trim was just fire. I was like, yes, that's the car. Yep.
Yeah.
Because she had the purple and pink. She had a pink in with
hers was all decoed up, and what they did for after the first movie, they would reuse a lot of the cars. Yep. So the Supras and all that stuff came back for the second movie and got repainted, restickered, and all that kind of stuff. I was actually going to pick that as my sleeper choice because I didn't think a lot of people noticed because it was in the movie so short. But it's a very hot car, very collectible right now. Car, yeah. Drop top. If you guys have never driven in a drop top, I used to think they were stupid until I drove one, and I'm like, this is pretty fucking sweet. You don't drive in the sun though; you drive in the evening because otherwise your face gets melted. Andre, are you going to stick on brand and choose the Charger, or was there any other car here that
I think the coolest car in this movie, just for the decal alone, was the Supra at the end? And it had the guy with the javelin as the on the side. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, the Charger is symbolic of the whole series. But I think in this movie, I think that Supra was pretty hype.
Yeah, the Supra definitely wins the movie as it. I'm pretty sure Fast and Furious is one of the main reasons it skyrocketed the value of this car, especially now to find a version of it in that condition. And every time I see one on the road, I do pull over and take a look. So,
one last thing, John, just for your curiosity, I didn't mention the cost of the 92 Acura Vigor I saw because I didn't look. There was one for about $3,000. So I was like,
$3,000. That is a lot for a car that is probably over 20 something years old.
Yeah,
it's just an obscure Honda.
Well, yeah, John, if it's 1992, it would be 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 90. Yeah, it's a 30-year-old. Yeah. It is. Oh my God. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, definitely the Super definitely deserves credit. I do really like that Eclipse as well, Stu. I think that is more, I feel like that speaks to me as the movie more because that's the first car he's driving around. It's very outrageous, even though the Super is quite outrageous. So thanks for indulging my car nerdness for that, guys.
What about the Chevy Malibu police cars? No love for the
no, those get destroyed. I feel like when they were driving down the road and they were shooting up cars, I felt like they kept shooting up the same cars over and over again. It was kind of funny. The two guys on the bikes. Let me see. And then I think I have one more question, and then we'll let Stu came up with a really good find on IMDb, so hopefully you guys stick around for that. So my last question was, and it's tied a little bit to what Stu said, so I don't know if that Leon thing was fact or not, but who would you, if you guys had to bet on someone coming back? We've got 2 more, I think, movies to go in the franchise. So who would you bet on possibly returning from this first movie? Would you bet on Johnny Tran returning with his brother Lance, and possibly a little nugget that was dropped? Dominic Toretto slept with his sister, so there could be a potential triple villain threat. yeah, there could be some like crazy thing coming up because he's not established as dead. Brian calls 911, so maybe he'll come back. Rick Yoon, he's a good guy. He's a good actor. He's a good-looking guy. Come on, Stu, stop shaking your head.
I'm just saying. I think he was pretty much dead. But yeah, we'll keep on.
No, he checks his pulse. I think there's a possibility. Well, he's less dead than a lot of other characters that have come back from being dead, quote unquote. Or would you bet on Han? Yeah. Or would you bet on Leon, the forgotten family member of Dominic's family, who for some weird reason let Jesse bet his car against Johnny Tran? Like, what kind of buddy is that? He was like, he pulls the car up to the line for him, goes, "Here, go get him." And then later on, when Diesel is like, "You let him do what?" He just acts like nothing happened. So, would you want any of those guys to return, Rob?
I was thinking more of Sergeant Tanner, Ted Levine. But do I have to pick the 2 people you've said?
No, if you have a secret choice, go for it.
The guy who Letty was racing in race for.
The guy who's lost.
So pissed. He's been thinking about that.
Rolled up. Like, I like how they just had 2,000, just too large. She called it just wrapped up in bundles. Too large, and he's like, "Yeah, I got it. I just happen to have the exact same roll. Too large. Well, let's rock and roll."
He's been stewing for years. Just as a side note, actually, the driver of that Ferrari scene was Neil Moritz. He's been the producer of all the Fast movies. So
yeah, I think he was. I remember he was a big deal. Yeah. Stu, would you want to see any of these guys come back?
You already know that I have a love for Leon that cannot be, that cannot be taken away from me. He deserves more than just driving these riffraff away in the vehicle without any love afterwards. He basically carried them all away to victory because one was bleeding out the back of the car and none of them were capable.
Well, yeah, his was the only functioning Civic left at the end.
Right. Without him, there would be no franchise. Dang it. So, justice for Leon is the new hashtag.
But they do
justice for Leon.
Justice for Leon. They actually kind of do him a little bit dirty when Mia's telling the backstory of how everyone came onto the crew. Right. It's like, oh yeah, Letty was hanging around. Vince knew him from childhood. Oh, and then Leon showed up, and then that's the end of her story to Brian.
Leon and Jesse, whatever, they just kind of showed up and never went home.
Kind of showed up.
That's it.
Now they're gone. Andre, would you want to see any of these guys come back?
I think how they brought back other villains, I think it might be good for Tran to come back. I think that would be pretty cool. You know what? I think that'd be more interesting than Dom having a brother that they never mentioned. know, so
Where was his brother when his dad was killed in the race?
Yeah.
He wasn't even at the track that day. So they're going to reveal his mother as some other character, I guess.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because Andre, I was thinking about you. Because last night I was watching the movie, and during Sunday's show, I think we had said, well, maybe we were off the air, and I said, well, maybe it was like an adoptive brother or something. And then, but Mia never mentioned any other sibling, right? So yeah, I'd be very interested to find out who this brother is. Could you imagine if it's a big buildup and it's like they're not really brothers? They're just like, yeah, you're my brother.
No, they're brothers. they're brothers, 100%.
Well, it could be. Maybe it's a half. It's a half brother from that they didn't realize without his last name's Toretto, right?
I had a conversation with someone the other day, and he watched the movie, and there is a scene with the two of them as young boys. So yeah, it's in the movie. So without ruining too much, it's canonized as both of them were the scene where the father dies at the thing. So at the racetrack, but it's stupid. It's very thin. This movie, the plot line for Fast 9. So it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, cool. So we maybe would want to see them kind of come back. I had the secret answer. My brother actually got it. Which was Ja Rule. Bring Edwin back. He was the guy.
First one? I thought he was in the second.
He's in the first one. He's the one who wants to race and is racing for a threpsome.
In the
Integra and loses. And the story goes that he was supposed to reprise his role, but he turned it down because he was going on tour. He had
he wanted more money.
Career.
Yeah,
they kind of blew up so that and Ludacris stepped in. And basically took his
now
spot.
Look where that is.
Yeah. So I wanted to do a quick.
Ja don't rule anything.
I don't know, Andre, if you heard, he made a bit of a festival that happened down. So
Firefest is a ridiculous mess. But I think Ja Rule did not anticipate being absolutely destroyed by 50 Cent when 50 Cent rolled onto the scene. So maybe he thought his career was going to go a lot further than that. So my question was going to be, was that the dumbest career move ever? But I think we all know the answer to that one.
I think he could be hanging out with the original Jim Rhodes. What was his name?
Terrence Howard.
Yeah, him and Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard is fine.
They're in a meeting going, why did we do that? Why did we ask for more money?
Andre, he made his money in Empire. He made some money.
He didn't make no Marvel money. That's for sure.
I don't know how much. For the movie appearance, it's probably not that much. But yeah, I think when they do the Rhodey Iron Wars TV show, that's when he's gonna be like, man, it would be 6 episodes and I can make a lot of money. So that's probably he'll be upset. But other than that, Terrence Howard is fine. He had an Academy Award nomination. He's good.
Yeah, some flow. But I think that's it. The other question I had wasn't very good. It was like all the knockoffs, Biker Boys and Torque. They tried to redo this with motorbikes and all kinds of other things. I couldn't think of anything else you could do instead of bikes and cars, like boats or something like that. But I think
we thought about canals. Think about this. Picture this.
like kayaks, like kayak racing.
And then and then imagine there's Night Boat, a boat that speaks to you. That's kind of like Knight Rider, kind of like that, but it's Night Boat and Night Boat. And then on top of that, he's fighting a bunch of people on skidoos that are all flying in the water. And it could be kind of this amalgamation of things in Venice, in the canals. And it would be a tie-in to Indiana Jones 3.
They did kind of have ski-doos in the second one. So
I think it'd be really funny if they made a knockoff, but it was like paddle boats. You have to pedal
like the opposite. It's very slow.
Come on, Lenny, pedal proper. Like, shut up, Tom. I'm trying. I was lost for a season.
You need more Nas.
Oh man! All right, cool. So I instead I'm going to kick it to Stu, who found some alternate casting for the main cast.
Yeah, John.
I don't know if anyone knows it.
John lined it up perfectly. So I'm going to give everyone these thoughts from linked from my links I found from.
Because I know all the alternate car casting. I know what cars.
So there were a bunch of alternate.
But I don't know people.
So this is great. John with he lined up perfectly with Ja Rule and Ludacris. So I'm going to tell you who these 3 actors were considered for the role of Brian O'Connor before Paul Walker was cast. So I want you all to imagine a world where one of these 3 actors was going to be the Paul Walker part. And could any of them have done a better job than R.I.P. Paul Walker?
answer is
number
no,
one.
obviously, but we're doing this for
We're
fun.
gonna find out. Actor number 1, Eminem.
I think I heard that. I heard that before. Yeah.
Clearly, no one cares.
Yeah.
Actor
8
2,
Mile was a good movie, but he played himself, so I don't think he
Actor
gets-
2, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Actor 3, Christian Bale.
How is that possible? How old? What movie was Christian Bale in at this time that I can?
Christian Bale wasn't anything at that time. That's why he
So
probably
he
could
was.
have been
Oh,
in
he's
this movie.
completely new.
'Cause
Eh?
he was-
Well, no, he wasn't new. He
was
was
a
a
good
child actor,
Yeah.
and he did some stuff into his teens, and then he stopped acting for a while, and then he came back. So this probably would have been around the Equilibrium time, right? Because what was Equilibrium? Like around 98, 99? So
He was a
I can
child
check
actor.
that.
He was an Empire of the Sun. He was a kid
Yeah.
actor for.
he was in
Steven
Newsies.
Spielberg and Newsies.
Equilibrium was 2002, so basically 1 year
Okay, so
younger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
than
it would
his
have been
look
around
in
this
that
time.
movie.
So could any of these 3 have done a better job than Paul Walker?
No,
Could these movies have
I don't
existed?
think so.
I
I think the only
except
one
for
that could come
Mark
close was
Wahlberg-
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it wasn't an option. No, I would say Mark Wahlberg would be the closest, because he would have just been coming off of Fear, which was I think 97 or so. So, but I think Mark Wahlberg, he was still too at that time. If you watch his movies, was still too into
Mark
his own
Wahlberg?
head, in his own ego. So, I think that what Paul Walker brought was a bit more of a not puppy dog, but more of a humility, I guess, to the role. So.
Yeah, Wahlberg did a movie in '98 called The Big Hit, which was
That's
which I
correct.
guess
It
you
was
could-
filmed in Toronto.
I guess you could kind of
Hamilton.
see that character in this, but yeah, I don't know.
That movie was filmed in Hamilton and in various parts of the GTA. The Big Hit with Avery Brooks from Deep Space Nine and
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Lou Diamond Phillips, and like a whole bunch. I think who else was in it? Oh man, there was another actor who was in it for like 2 seconds. Anyways, it was a good movie. The Big Hit. Okay, so the next thing that I found, which was quite interesting, was that these were the various actresses that were auditioned for the role of Mia. So tell me whether any of these would have done a better job than Jordana
Brewster.
So it would be Jessica Biel,
Okay.
Bijou Phillips,
Interesting.
Kristen Dunst, yep.
No, out. She's out.
Sorry, Mary Jane.
Sarah Michelle Gellar,
Okay,
and Natalie
interesting.
Portman.
And Natalie Portman.
Natalie
Natalie-
Portman's loving it.
This role would have been
They
way
actually
too small.
auditioned for these roles. Like
They
all
auditioned,
those
yes.
auditioned for
They
it?
all auditioned, but they didn't get it. Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know
so
why
glad
they
Natalie Portman.
Yeah. Listen,
Sorry, Andre.
unfortunately, Jordana like throughout most of the series, like she seems to be like the most interchangeable part.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. She does not get much time in this.
she
movie.
doesn't get much time. Like she's interesting because of Brian in it, but I don't think any of those girls would have done a bad job, because what did Jordana really do? But I guess you're trying to make him kind of look like Dom, so I don't know if you could have Kristen Dunst or Natalie Portman beside Vin Diesel. You know what I mean? Then you're really like, not that Jordana and then look the same anyway. So
Yeah.
they're just throwing it out there. Yeah. So
Well, I mean, I think Natalie Portman had way more screen cred and reputation, but I think, and
I
not
don't
to
even know if she would have
disparage,
auditioned for it.
not to just, I'm surprised about it, because not to
Yeah.
disparage this franchise, but this is like a Harvard like she would have been like entering Harvard around that time, so like it just seems like it doesn't seem like in the wheelhouse of movies that she would have been doing in the trajectory of her career. So I was kind of surprised that name came up. Jessica Biel's not surprising.
I always
That
get
was-
the feeling for this movie, it was just like, it was who the producers kind of knew. It's like they got one person and they're like, hey, Vin, do you know anybody who might want, like, it just seemed like such, not that it was terribly low budget, but it just
Well,
seemed
I
like,
No,
think
it was a bit low budget.
I
though.
think
it
it's
was
still
low
low
budget,
budget.
but it just felt like, hey, these are the people we know. It's like calling your buds, like, yo, we're gonna make this movie. Hey, Andre,
Yeah.
we'll call somebody. Oh,
Who's-
Rob,
who's
are you
cheap?
available?
Yeah.
Man, I'll send my kid off to a sitter. I'll come and help. Not that that's exactly what happened, but
Right.
it just
Yeah,
seemed, but it worked out, man. The cast
Yeah.
had some good chemistry after a dozen movies or so, right?
I think to the point when you look at the actors that were potentially for Brian and Mia, it's just the potential. Like no one would anticipate that it would get to like Fast 10, but with really good actors, they'd probably be doing a lot more with the material given to them.
But they wouldn't have lasted this long.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have had Natalie Portman would not have gone 10 movies deep. There's no way she would have done it.
Well, yeah. Even Vin Diesel stepped away with number 2, right?
But that was he had a huge ego issue after Triple X and everything else. But same with Christian Bale. There's no way he would like. So those actors that you mentioned, they would not have committed to this many movies in a franchise.
And that's why it's kind of the cast feels kind of special, because it's like they did something, it was well received, and then they kept doing it. Like they did become this family, and it continued. Like if there were bigger actors, there's no way wouldn't matter how much dump truck you backed up, right? It wouldn't. I don't think it would have gotten to that space, you know. So.
I got 2 more for you before we bounce.
All right, yeah. Let's hit the 2 more, and then
two more. We got to bounce.
Maybe quickly talk about the rest.
Quickly, the role of Mia was written for Elijah Dushku, but she turned down the role.
Interesting.
So what are your thoughts on that?
That's not surprising. It was written for her. You can, yeah. Although, Mia. I actually would have seen her in Letty. I would have seen her as Letty, to be honest with you.
She was Faith on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could totally see that. Yeah. I wonder what she was doing at the time that didn't allow her to.
Whatever. And last one. This is the biggest bomb drop, and I was like, "What the world?" John and me is living in a mirror universe, rejoicing the fact that this casting happened, but we're saddened that it didn't happen this one. Timothy Oliphant turned on the wrong Dom Toretto, thinking the film would be too similar to another car-related film he'd just been in, Gone in 60 Seconds in 2000. So he was in the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, which John and me already love, but he turned it down because of I already did a car movie. I don't know if I'll do another one.
He did it. He was like a partner character that no one really knew.
But thank God, because we wouldn't have gotten Deadwood.
Yeah, but Fast and Furious with Timothy Oliphant is a whole.
It wouldn't have been the same at all.
No, he's not. He has that walk, that swagger. He doesn't look like a car guy. He looks like a guy who's out testing shoes. Like he doesn't. He doesn't look imposing.
Vin Diesel definitely does really sell this character.
Yeah. I'm just picturing Vin Diesel in 6 seasons of Justified. I'm just picturing
that's a swap. Vin Diesel for Timothy Oliphant.
Vin Diesel and Deadwood. Like, think about that. How good would that be? Like,
my name's Waylon Jennings.
It's the best.
Marshall.
Like him being like,
"Hey Dewey, come here."
Like him dealing with like in the back ye olden times being a sheriff. Like,
man.
It would be amazing in Deadwood and dealing with Calamity Jane. These are the things I wonder about. Anyways, that's the thing. So thank you for crazy on that.
All right, thank you, Stu. That was good. I think we'll just wrap it up. Thank you everyone for sticking with us for so long. We're going to start to wrap this up now. I just wanted to quickly talk about, I guess, what we're expecting when we do Fast 5. So next week we're going to cover Fast 5. If you want to talk,
unbelievable.
Yeah, well, we don't have time, Stu, because Fast 9 is out the week after that. Unless you want to do one episode for the entire rest of the week.
Man, I feel like you're doing the injustice to the rest of them. But yeah, sure.
No, we're not. Because Fast 5 is where the whole franchise shifts and changes into what we now get. Right? There's a delineation between what comes from 1 to 4 and 5 onwards. Right. So
I would say four starts it, and five is where they get the budget and it takes off, but 4 lays the groundwork for it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if I remember, 4 was more of like, it was almost like an origin story more than what this movie was.
Yeah. 4 is actually almost a redo of 2.
Yeah.
It's almost we kind of like this idea of guys racing around to appease this, overlord boss. Let's do it again in 4.
Except for add in Giselle and we're good. So that was good.
Yeah, so talk a little bit, I guess, and if anyone has any just last comments about maybe 2, 3, 4 before we get to 5.
I think
will shout out Eva Mendes.
I think you need to do 5 and then do just like Tokyo Drift and start doing them backwards and start doing reviews of 2, 3, 4. Because really, who cares? At this, like the fact that Tokyo Drift they just filled in where they wanted to. So I think do 4, then do 9, again, and then do the rest of the match.
You know what? Like this.
Yeah, well, let's let Andre take it away and talk a little bit.
Like they've done more than you would have expected or gave them credit. Nobody gave this movie, a movie about cars, a chance, and every time they do something, it is better than it has any right to be. So once you get 4, and then 4 leads into 5, and then in 5 they're like, yo, let's go back and get this villain, and then they bring in Giselle, and then they go back and they build the team from 2. It's almost like they did say, hey, we want to get to point X where these guys are super spies. So let's do all this groundwork and then bring them all back together. You know, it was honestly, I think for what it is, and without having the writers and the budgets and the background source material, they're not pulling from anything. This is not 70 years of Marvel or 60 or 65 years of DC. They had to come up with this, and they built likable characters. Sure, why does so and so know how to do X, Y, or Z? Well, they did The Incredible in their first movie. Let's just keep letting them drive submarines and all kinds of different things, man. It's like at this point, you just go with it and you enjoy it, right?
But I think that those movies though benefit. You're right. I mean, it took somebody to sit down there and they actually crafted this story, and I think that they took reference from lots of comics. Like, hey, listen, we can easily go back in time and do from tons of different pop cultural movies or books and to craft out the story. But I think this franchise wouldn't be what it is without the direction of Justin Lin. I mean, I think that had he not been the person helming it and almost being the Kevin Feige of the direction of that franchise, we probably wouldn't get to where we are at with 9. I think he would have stopped, and it would have become what like all the Friday the 13th movies were, in Part 8, Jason Take. They would have just been like throwaway B type movies. Yeah. So I think for sure, Justin Lin
issue, right? Like they were able to at least put these threads in, and as you're watching them, you're like, oh yeah, hey, that's cool. It kind of makes sense. Like these are not characters that they're just pulling out, and I know we'll get to it next week, but yeah, just putting The Rock in there, like just talk about literally adding nos to your movie.
Yeah.
Right. And it did it shot them to the stars. Right. So,
yep.
Yeah,
no, I'm rewatching them all. I'm gonna rewatch them all with my son. He wants. Oh yeah, I'll watch. Yeah, because I'm a completionist. The fact that you say I have the entire collection except for 3, when you said that inside, I was like, oh, because I have all the stupid Fox X-Men movies, and I hate the last few, but I have to have them.
What year is Fast 5?
It's like skipping a Star Wars movie. It's like there's like 6 of them. Yeah. There's only 6 of them. Andre, there's only 6 of them, and then you have to watch all 6. And
there's only 6. Yeah.
There's only 6. There's the prequels, and then there's the other one. That's it. Like what? You're gonna not watch? You're not gonna watch Attack of the Clones, Andre? You're just gonna skip that movie? No, you gotta watch Attack of the Clones. You're gonna miss the Phantom Menace? No, you gotta rock the Phantom Menace.
This is so weird because people are watching this going, "What's he talking about?" There's actually 9 movies.
Yeah,
I don't think no. There's only 6, but you just can't not have the third movie. That's it. So
I'm trying to remember for 5 if like was this before the era of all the spoilers coming out on the internet and stuff like that? I feel like when I went in to watch 5, I didn't know Tyrese and a bunch of the other guys were going to show up. So I don't know.
I think it's been a long time, John. Your memory's fleeting because trailers and stuff came out. You knew what was going on.
No, I feel like I didn't know Tyrese was going to show up.
Right.
I remember being pretty happy.
Fast 5 was 2009.
11.
No, it's 2009.
Fast 5 was 2000. Fast and Furious is 2009.
Fast and Furious. Yeah, that's the wrong one.
Fast and Furious. Fast 5 is 2011.
Oh, that's really weird. Google has 2 different things. Okay, right. So Fast 5 2011. That would have been around the time that Ain't It Cool News and whatnot were breaking spoilers. Whether or not
maybe it just wasn't as apparent. Maybe Facebook wasn't as hot at that time or something. I don't know. I remember not really
with
seeing that
actual
coming.
things in life, John.
Maybe.
We were talking through ICQ. Come on.
Yeah. Maybe that. My quick thoughts. Two. I really loved back in the day and watched it many times. It's a little bit rough now. I watched a little bit of it before we started here. 3. I've tried watching it repeated times. It is Justin Lin. I want to like it, but every time
Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, Tokyo Drift. It just falls apart.
Good, man.
The greatest part about Tokyo Drift is Han and the Japanese car culture they infused in there. But once they put the Skyline engine in the Mustang at the end, I just check out. So that mountain scene, I'm like, I don't even think I've watched it in its entirety because I'm done. And then 4, I actually quite like 4, except for in the tunnel, it's really dark. And I'm like, why did you have to choose to go in this tunnel? Why didn't you just make it on roads or something like that? But I do remember liking 4. So I'm looking forward to going to 5. I don't know if anyone else wants to drop quick thoughts on that. You guys already touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm
well,
good.
I guess the only thing I will say is that what's really cool is that the Fast and the Furious franchise is, like you said, is hitting 20, right?
Yeah,
like
20 years this year.
And,
20 years as of the 22nd of June, I think.
22nd, like and as of July 1st, we're hitting 20 years. So that's kind of cool.
Pretty crazy,
right?
actually.
So
that's nuts. There you go.
That's pretty awesome. So we're intertwined with the Fast, so it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a long time since we saw. Did everyone see this in theaters just before we close this out? The first one.
I did not.
No, you didn't. I definitely saw it in theaters.
Did.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No,
I think I've seen. I smoked a lot of pot back then.
I think I've seen like most of them in the theater. I think I missed 1 or 2 along the way. But
I've seen 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's why 9's killing me because I really want to see it in the theater opening day. Because from 4 onward, take the day off, opening in the theater like a matinee, and I don't know if I'll be able to do it for this one. I don't know.
There's no theaters in Ontario. However, as of Wednesday, provincial travel will be allowed, and we can drive to Quebec theaters and watch it if you want.
GTFO.
That might be
I would rather wait. I would rather hold out watching it and try to not.
I could probably watch it via a Russian dash cam. So which is pretty much what I have right now.
You're never going to see it in the theater, John. It's not. It'll be out of theaters by the time we open up in Ontario.
I don't know. I kind of want to hold.
Theaters opening in July 25th.
No, I don't think it's they're not till like August, I believe. End of July or early August.
It's going to be in the theater till August, anyways. Because
Fraser said drive-ins are open. If we can find a drive-in, we could definitely go there. We'll go buy a $3,000 Acura Vigor online, and we'll pull up to the drive-through.
That's fine, so long as I get to hold on to the top as you spin off into the ditch. That's all right.
Okay. Anyways, thank you very much, folks, for tuning into that.
Thanks,
thank
everybody.
you all you guys for jumping in on that. I know we were a little bit all over the place, but I can talk about this movie all the time. So it's a little too easy for me. So I just wanted to make sure we had some form of organization. Thanks to Stu for chipping in that segment. That was great. So everybody, new Heroes World podcast, new episodes every Sunday. We are covering the new Loki show and whatever shenanigans happen then. And if you are watching this on the replay, the Sidekick Show is live every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And definitely check out all our socials and our website and all that kind of fun stuff. We got a lot of stuff going on. So, and watch Fast and the Furious 5. You can watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you want for next week. More than welcome to. Thank you, Rob. And then follow Rob at the 905. He's got new videos tomorrow and Thursday, unless he takes
not this week.
off.
I'm taking this week off.
What?
Okay, so no new videos from Rob.
I got some new equipment I'm setting up, so I'm taking this week off.
So ignore his channel
nice
for a
to be
week.
king.
No, go back and watch his other videos because he's got some great videos on there. So definitely check that out. Rob, anything else we need to talk about before we close here?
No, man. No. See you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining us. Sorry, stupid mirrored thing. Thank you, Stu and Andre. Peace out. See you guys on the next one.
See you guys.
Take care, everybody.